Yeah, so I've been playing Soldier of Fortune 2 a lot. I play it all the time, but, when the technological depravity is really, fucking with me, and it just shows how fucking oppressive and dystopian this fucking prison reality is. I really more and more pay attention on old games like that and like movies and shit. Like just how much fucking easier it would have been, like if you play Soldier of Fortune 2, the level of technology is kind of laughable. It's always been this weird mix, right? Where like, you'll have the thing like Splinter Cell or whatever, and it's like, oh look, here's all this high tech stuff, and like really, it's pretty archaic by modern standards. But then at the same time, it seems there's always this stuff in there that look like science fiction, but is like totally just easy to do now, right? So anybody that's played Soldier of Fortune 2 will know that if you're playing without cheat codes, once you're able to equip the thermal vision or whatever they call it, it's basically, a game breaker or whatever. But it's something I thought about, and I played the game a lot for over 20 years. I first played it in 2003, not 2002 when it released, but still. For almost the entirety it's been around, I've been playing it. But so I do this all the time, but only recently because I've been thinking more about the real life, shit. Did I really think about how this is just regular stuff now. If you look at the thermal vision in the game, it basically looks like what you see with the Wi-Fi looking through your wall shit that they do. And yeah, I just love how wall hacks are like just real now. It's like with the Russo-Ukrainian psychosis, and they're like fighting over, CNPP for real. Like, and just how nuts that is, with to see the world turn into like Stalker Shadow of Chernobyl in the worst way possible, right? And shit like that. That's basically what life is now. It's basically all of the worst parts out of a fucking video game, but it's for real, so you can't just turn it off, right? But I mean, due to how all encompassing, Wi-Fi is and all this other shit, and like I had said to several individuals, is like they'll say, "Oh, well, I just won't use Wi-Fi. I'll just won't." It's like, dude, you don't understand. They can just set up a Wi-Fi network. You're not, and even if they didn't do that, because now they have 5G and 6G coding the whole planet, it's beyond pointless, right? I mean, there was, like I said, this is technology I was reading about 15 years ago, and it was, um, I researched it a little bit more recently, like as in like a few hours ago or like yesterday or whatever after I mentioned it, and apparently it's Texas Instruments that did a lot of these videos and not 3M. But I mean, all these, you know, something I wanted to clarify from the other video, because I mentioned DARPA and all that, and like in case it wasn't clear, my point was that like so society like statism and corporatism are the same thing. They're just extensions of societalism, which is just human social collusion to the maximal extent possible, right? It's like the only reason they didn't do it this way before is because it wasn't possible yet. Um, and so it doesn't matter that DARPA is a government agency when all these big tech companies are really just glorified defense contractors now. And again, coming back to the video games, and I even saw somebody else in a comment section I read yesterday mention this. It's like, hello, Splinter Cell chaos theory. And I'm like, I'm glad I'm not the only one that noticed that. Because that was basically the same thing with that. The bad guy of the game, of course, the fiction, it's never just a thing that didn't happen. They just directly invert everything in reality. Now, in this case, in the game, the defense contractor that's doing all this, network, global takeover stuff or whatever is the bad guy. But I mean, in like reality, they consider them the good guys. But, this is why the real reason they've pushed to require cookies, require two-factor, require this or that. It's not about your safety. It's about being able to identify you. because these corporations don't just sell your data to the government. They work with them directly. Most obvious examples, Facebook. Now everybody knows about Ring and all this other shit. And it's like, so they're the government, but they call it a corporation and then pretend the two are separate concepts to like add a layer of, supposed plausible deniability that anybody that's not, you know, an idiot, frankly, will see straight through. And I'm not saying you can't be deceived. I'm just saying that intelligent individuals will eventually figure it out, right? And they're the outcast of society because they don't benefit the social collusion that is the state and just its corporatism. I mean, why is it that these cops only protect corporations, right? And then other extensions of the state apparatus. Well, that, yeah, you fucking know why. All right, I've never seen a cop defend the innocent. I've never seen a cop go after an actual criminal. If they ever did, it was totally by accident. But yeah, it's like DARPA being a government, a fucking research thing. Well, then they just, or like CERN. Well, then they just have private corporations set up the whole infrastructure, and now them censoring you somehow isn't a constitutional thing because a private business can do whatever. You know what I mean? And it's just, I don't really know, but it's just, I don't know. I love, like, even chaos theory, dude. Like chaos theory, or especially Soldier of Fortune 2, or even the first Splinter Cell. It's kind of laughable, the level of biometrics and this and that, you know. But reading about this stuff when I was younger, I was obsessed with computer graphics. I just, I remember seeing the facial motion capture stuff and, and now everybody calls deep fakes and this and that. I thought this was the way of the future for video games and stuff, or like a future in a good way, right? Wow, this will make my favorite games even better. And, you just are, even if you've been subjected to the human terrorism your entire life, it just, the shit hides in plain sight. It takes a very brutal existence of having no way to ignore what's really going on or explain it away, and then also be intelligent enough to see, you know, just, you know, be able to observe all this shit, really understand what's going on, but then the lack of ego to be able to accept when you do get to that point of just you know, uh, just being unable to say it's anything else anymore. And that's just almost nobody. And then, of course, the way human collusion works is they focus it all on one specific individual. One individual takes the brunt of all that. So because no one individual is experiencing too much of it simultaneously, it looks like it's working or like it's okay or whatever. And fundamentally, they don't give a fuck about anyone else. But, when I watch these old movies, right, like Road to Perdition, holy fuck, the 20s. You imagine driving to the middle of nowhere. There's some diner in the middle of nowhere, and you just sit there and eat something. And, like in the movie, okay, there's a cop there, but you know what? Eventually he's going to be somewhere else, and so will you. There's no cameras, there's no infrared, there's no none of this shit. And what that really means for the innocent is that minimizes the oppression inflicted on them, right? So a big part of this ID everyone thing, like a lot of individuals have noticed, is that, well, they want to know who the kids are, to the point to where um they want to fingerprint your browsing behavior to determine if you're a child or not, because they want to be able to find where the kids are at to have sex with them. Everyone knows that, but what they forget is that this can be used on everyone. All right. So if you're a homosexual, if you're an ethnic minority, which I'm both of those, right? Any you know kind of expulsed social group, and remember, all the, like, blacks. I don't know why blacks are some of the biggest bigots against homosexuals and this and that. Like, they forgot about all the bigotry. Although you get a lot of groups that want to want to like co-opt the suffering of someone else on shit they never been through, like it's supposed to apply to them, but then they want to go do the shit to everyone else. You know, Classic cases: Israel leveling West Asia, or blacks in the United States are like some of the biggest fag haters or whatever. And it's like, but not that long ago, they were a mentally ill criminal just for existing, right? So that's the problem with the literal and metaphorical Minority Report. It is tomorrow the U.S. can decide homosexuality is illegal, just like they wanted to repeal everything else and ignore their supposed acknowledgement of your rights this whole time. For them, the whole time they pretended to acknowledge your rights. Well, they can just take that away tomorrow. I remember seeing an interview online with some homosexual in England or something, saying something about he didn't celebrate when they made homosexuality legal, because just as easy as they made it legal, they can make it illegal again tomorrow. Okay, well, forget what porn you're watching or whether it counts as illegal or whatever. Just the fact that you're homosexual or something, now they got you, and they want it to be tied directly to your identity. And here's all this millimeter wave and the all this stuff to be able to not only just track you everywhere, but detect your facial features and body features through clothing and everything else. So it's beyond worse than even I've ever imagined. Like worse than what I've talked about, which most weren't even aware of, and even worse than I would ever fucking thought. And it's like I wasn't enough of a fucking pariah yet. So this idea of criminals wanting to get away with it. The problem is who's defining who's a criminal. Me just sitting around not doing nothing wrong, and motherfuckers decide now they have the right to kidnap or murder me just for bullshit that doesn't matter. But all the criminality inflicted on me, they're just powerless to do anything about, right? And I noticed, my 35 years of this prison existence, where was all this AI tracking, surveillance, mass surveillance shit when I was having my life destroyed? Because it can be on, even if it's on camera from every different angle, it never seems to count for anything. See, so that's what's double psychotic about it, is that fundamentally all of that shit doesn't matter to the criminal society have just decided to get away with it. That they're all going to collude to help get away with it, not just let get away with it. If you're not doing something about it, you're complicit. And that's what the problem is. And so I sit here and look at, it's like Soldier of Fortune 2, and it's like, that's it. Because like if you have the thermal vision that they call it in that game, but it's got an extent of like 10 feet, and it's a specific piece of equipment that you're wearing. It's not literally global, like worldwide. So they're just look through everything, right? And it's just like the stuff in RoboCop, that when they do these heat maps of the Wi-Fi signal reconstructions, it looks exactly like that. It's almost like they saw RoboCop and said, "Oh, that's a good idea." Like I remember years back when supposedly some military asshole saw like the Predator and Predator like being able to active camouflage, and he's like, "I want that." And then of course they've been trying to do that forever, not to defend you, of course, but to defend their own criminality. And so, like I said, if they want to try to make the web inaccessible without this verification shit or everything at this point, then I guess I won't fucking do anything. I mean, what are they going to make it a crime not to verify? Now then they'll make it illegal not to have an email address or this or that, right? And you see where that's going. Sort of like they make it illegal not to have health insurance. They don't give you health insurance if you go to a job. They take that out of whatever that you were supposed to make. It's not you get the wage plus the insurance. No, they expect you to pay for it. And so naturally you're just going to not do that because you want your money. Well, then they just make it illegal to not have health insurance. So then the site, when you do the application, says you have to pick an insurance. They just have to steal from you. They have to commit all these crimes against you. And it's not like these humans don't see what's going on. They want it this way because that's their vicarious sense of control. Every human is a shit rat monkey that just wants to fling shit from a safe distance. They want to be evil with no fucking consequences. And that's why I'm sick of this. That's why I want this shit to fucking go away. And humans can twist whatever narrative about that they want. They were going to fucking do that anyway.